living being in this world is knowingly or unknowingly on a spiritual pilgrimage. This is the message Sri Satya Sai Baba has on for today, the 10th of February 2026. I had a series of talks with a couple of my friends, and we were discussing why is Who Am I of such great importance now? When you align your actions with true identity, you pave the way for life that is authentic and self-empowering. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges or doubt. It means you'll be better equipped to handle them, grounded in the stability and peace that comes from knowing who you truly are. I came across a book which has been written by Andrew Matsulak, and in that book he talks about the challenges which we face when we start to look as to who am I. We, those of us who are very familiar with Ramana Maharishi and his teachings, and in our podcast so far we have been dealing with what he says succinctly, because Ramana is exceedingly easy to understand and very, very succinct. But yet, there are a lot of questions that people have as to what this entails. Let's go a little further, shall we? And we'll find out that it is the sadhana where you question the very idea of Atma. Now we're all familiar with this word Atma, and roughly translated, it can be talking about the soul, it can be talking about consciousness, it can be talking about a whole host of things which is in the undescribable, I could put it like that, maybe even unknowing for many people. So what I really did find in another it was an absolute unbelievable find, where in the 1258 AD, that is in the 13th century, there was this lady called Marguerite Porete. Now Marguerite Porete is a Belgian, and she wrote in Belga, but in a language which was not cryptic, but very, very simple to understand, where many people could really fathom as to what she was talking about. Her ideas were condemned as heretical by church authorities, particularly because she claimed that perfected souls transcended the need for sacraments, virtues, and ecclesiastical authority. Despite warning, she circulated the text, and in 1310 she was executed by burning in Paris. Yet the book survived anonymously and influenced mystics. Now, the book is called Summary of Simple Souls. This is what she had actually called her book. Now, she's a person who explores the soul's journey towards complete union with God. And this, she says, is through radical self-emptying. The words are self-emptying, which literally means that what appears as the self to you, which we termed as non-self. You remember? Akash, you would be probably remembering about that. We talked about the non-self.
Yes.
Yeah. So we empty this non-self and we actually progress to purify our soul so that it is ultimately completely and totally absorbed into the consciousness. Now, the soul and the consciousness and the being are not separate at any point of time. We only differentiate when we talk so that we can identify what function they perform at different stages. Yeah. Anyway, now the core themes of the book is that the mirror is structured as a dialogue between allegorical figures, that is, love, reason, and the soul, through which Port dramatizes this mystical path. Now, of the three of them, we can't really pinpoint and say that is love, this is reason, and this is the soul. Can we? We can't. So therefore, the whole thing is allegorical, which literally means it's through symbolization, through analogies, and through picturization, if need be, by a graphic artist or by any person who can actually visualize these things. Because we as human beings and beings of consciousness have a God spot. Now when we have a God spot and we are able to access the inner realms, where we can actually figure these things out for ourselves, then we get expression through painting, through music, and even through calligraphy. There are people who actually through writing manage to convey the same messages. So now we talk about the 7 stages of the soul. So Port outlines 7 progressive stages of annihilation, that is the self-emptying. So she calls self-emptying annihilation, or annihilation as self-emptying, each moving closer to the union with God. The stage 1, she says, is the soul begins with moral discipline and virtue. Now, morality, we used to have moral science in India, and scriptural studies. Scriptural studies are another branch which is in the Western school of education in Western countries. But in the Western countries, they also have Sunday schools where they are taught, or they have to listen to sermons and understand the significance of God and the whole thing about scriptures. Okay? So that is the moral discipline. And virtues come with moral discipline. Now virtues are those ideals which we have where you think, you act in accordance with your inner feelings, in accordance with your inner learning, and with your inner direction from your belief, devotion, and faith.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, definitely.
So does that mean if somebody's inner learning is, let's say somebody is the son of a dacoit or something, so is for him it will be virtuous to be better at killing people?
Well, your question actually...
Because to be very honest, I very firmly believe that everybody who exists in this world has a purpose, right?
Yeah.
whether, so we can't really
Whether
say
he
somebody
knows about it or
no,
not. Yeah.
you can say something is evil and good, but you cannot say something is wrong or right.
Absolutely.
Right? So everything has a purpose. So if somebody's purpose is to be evil, so uh, is it virtuous for him to be good at killing, good at looting,
Okay, I
good at pillaging?
have a counter question
Yeah.
from you. When you say somebody is evil,
Yes.
how do you know that it's evil or good?
If it is good or bad for the bigger society, I assume.
No, from where do you get which is the yardstick you use?
What we've learned since along our life.
Now we're coming
Correct.
down. Again, we come down to the senses. And what is it in us that determines whether a thing is good or whether it is bad? It's the thinking. And as I originally, I don't know whether I actually talked about it, but the thinking is a body-mind complex. In the sense, this is a consciousness which operates entirely dictated to by the mind, which, as I told you earlier in one of the podcasts, is a chatterbox.
Correct.
It just talks in a language which you cannot understand unless you are completely in tune with it. Therefore, it looks as if it's a prattle, like little children. They talk, when they don't know any learning, and then they talk something and you try to discern as to what they're saying, because you're not used to that kind of a language, you're not used to that kind of a sound if you don't know, how do you understand?
So I was right. It
Yeah.
does depend on your learning itself, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Got it.
So, therefore, anything which is evil is what does not benefit the larger number of people. So, therefore, when it is dacoitry, I must add this because the definition of a dacoitry or definition of a thief and robbing, I beg to differ from many people. I don't think there's anything called robbery, and I do not think that there's anybody called a thief. Now, because when something goes away from you, never to return, it means that your association with that particular thing is finished. It has no use for you anymore. So it finds the next person who is.
Like it did not belong to us in the first place.
Yes.
Nothing belongs to us. So you can't really.
Absolutely. I agree there.
Yes.
So therefore, when we have this kind of a logic within us, we have to do inner silence. Now, when we come to silences, Ramana Maharishi always spoke about silence. And he often said, Chumma iru. In Tamil, Chumma iru literally means keep shut, keep your mouth shut, keep quiet.
Listen, right?
Not even listen, because listening again, you start to react.
So what would you do then? Neither listen, neither talk.
No, don't talk, don't listen, don't have any interaction.
Okay.
Because he even proved beyond doubt that there was no other. There was no other. There is no two selves, there's only one self. In fact, even the non-self is the misunderstanding, the mistakes, the apprehension, appropriation, and you had asked a similar question about seeming to do something. You remember?
Which one?
Seeming to walk.
Seeming to do something. Yes.
Seeming. So these kind of things are there, which come and go with their own time, with their own cyclic activity.
Correct.
We have no clue as to when they're coming and when they're going. They come suddenly and they go suddenly. So therefore, moral discipline and virtues are what you learn when you are in this particular play, passion play. I would call it a passion play, in a stage. Okay, the stage being the earth, passion play being what we do when we take birth, which again is a play within a play, because we do not take birth, we never die. What births dies. What is never birthed will never die. Therefore, we belong to the second category. So, I'm bringing Ramana with Margaret, right? So then Margaret goes on to say, it practices humility and obedience. Now, these actually go together. So, when we're talking about obedience, it literally means that this is a calling coming from a source which has absolutely no bearings. We don't know where they come from, when they came, how they came, who they are, nothing. So therefore, we accept them with a readiness because we have nothing else that we can do. So therefore, this obedience is sometimes implicit. Implicit literally means that you do it. There's nothing else that you can do but accept it. Therefore,